This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on this Thursday morning. Mentioned Ryan Kraft will join us, Moorhead girls hockey coach, coming up in about a half hour as the Spuds are off to the state tournament after their victory over Roseau last night by a 6-1 margin to send them off to state for the second time in 3 years. That's coming up in about a half hour. But each and every Thursday, we get a chance to visit with the head women's basketball coach at North Dakota State. Mr. Jory Collins joins us fresh off of what happened last night. The Bison falling to the Jackrabbits 68-53. I know we were talking in the post game. I know you said to me you're going to go and watch the tape. Did it play out? Did it look exactly like how you saw it when you went back and watched last night?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was just I thought we struggled from the tip, Dom. I didn't think we had the juice I thought we were going to have. Just didn't have the pop that you hope for in a game like that. Yeah. And then, when some individuals struggle, makes it difficult. We were just watching as a staff here a little bit ago, to come out in the second half and I think hold them to 1 point in the first 4 minutes and maybe 4 points in the first 5 minutes. We cut it to 6, but outshot them like 11-3 and just didn't have, game should have been tied. We should have been right back in it right there, but just didn't have much to show for that little flurry of we kind of whooped them in the game for 4 minutes, but had nothing to show for it because we couldn't make a basket and couldn't get enough shots to go to kind of make up that margin. And, and then we get it to 6 and then Paige Meyer goes on a 6-0 run and gets it back to 11. And that was kind of it.
Lenz hits the 3 and it's a 6-point game. And I said it on the air. It sounds like the crowd was aching to get into the game. And just after that, that's when Paige did her mini run and pretty much put the game out of reach after that.
Yeah, we give up kind of playing a feast or famine zone, and she knocks down a 3 and then gets an and one in transition, and that's it's so hard to claw back against those guys, and then you get close and just the momentum plays that we've talked about, she makes those a lot.
I mean, they had more turnovers than you. Again, if I said this to you yesterday, that you're going to have less turnovers than them. Brooklyn Meyer is going to have 11 points. You probably think, hey, either we're going to win the game, we got a heck of a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me that and that we were going to make 9 threes against them like we did last time and steal the ball 8 times, our magic number against them is, we got to find a way to get to 65. And, our game goal for them was, below 65. We were off that a couple points. Yeah. Our issue all year long has been some inconsistent 3-point shooting. We've actually found some consistency shooting the ball the last couple games, but to shoot 25% from in and around the basket is, I don't know if that's good enough to beat anybody, Dom, but let alone, a team of that caliber.
I know you mentioned, because we'll talk about you got a game Saturday. How did you address is it pretty quick with the team last night saying, all right, we got to flush this because we got practice
I mean, there's
today?
Nothing to, I mean, there's just not a whole lot there. I mean, you can talk about a couple of the numbers. I mean, we're going to address some things today because there's some areas where we were below our standard and what our expectation is for how we do things. And so those things are, regardless of the basketball part of it, are things you always have to address and make sure that we're holding, our players to the standard that we think is necessary. And those are things we got to look at and talk about. And then we got, I mean, it's conference play. You got to get ready to go again, go into a hostile environment on Saturday, and you got to be mentally prepared.
It almost seemed like your shots down, nothing came easy. I know that's what they do, but how do you prepare for that? How do you coach around that knowing exactly defensively? Because it's no surprise what they're going to throw at you.
Well, yeah, and it's they're going to dig and double in the post. They're going to gap everything when you drive it. And so for 2 days, you work on, drive and kick and catch and shoot. You work on, your 2 dribbles in the post and play inside out. And, either you get the job done or you don't. Yeah. And we just fell short in executing multiple times in situations, that we should have been better. And they came out and iced our side ball screen stuff, which they haven't done all year early. And that's fine. We've been iced plenty of time on side ball screen all year long to be able to flip the switch and run our counters to that. That took us a few possessions to get dialed in. But you don't want to say it comes down to you got to put the ball in the hole, but man, we missed some open ones and some right around the basket that we normally make. And then on top of some standard issues, that's where it can steamroll on you a little bit.
That's just is that how frustrating is that? You have a experienced team with some of your experience there that plays and didn't have the kind of game you were hoping for last night.
Well, it's frustrating because you're counting on those guys. I mean, the whole team is. We can't put our fate of our big games in the hands of freshmen, in the hands of just sophomores. You have to get some production out of our upperclassmen, whether that's basketball stuff or leadership. And at some point in the game and throughout, you put your foot down and say, "Hey, I'm gonna make a play." And you just have to have it if you're going to beat teams like that. I mean, quite honestly, I watch it on film, and I can't believe that it was a 10 or 12-point game. I mean, I felt watching us, regardless of what they did, looked like we should lose by 25. And just, you can say what could have been all day long, but the fact is we didn't make enough basketball plays.
So now it's the next three are on the road, and you mentioned UND's going to be sitting there waiting for you. I know they played last night as well, but you know full well what kind of environment you're going to have on Saturday night. You got to how fast or spirited is practice the next couple of days, knowing what's coming on Saturday?
Well, we'll find out today. I know I'm going to be spirited, Dom, because that's just who I am, and my ass is ready to go every day, and we need our team to be ready to go every day. And there's some things today we need to address and talk about from last night, and then we're going to get on the practice floor and start our preparation for our in-state rival. And we'll get ourselves ready. Our team has done a good job responding all year long to some adversity. It's one thing I respect the most about the kids on our team. And we got another opportunity to do that here, the next 2 days.
I know you're looking at where you're at in the standings now. With what's left, second, I know is what you got to be shooting for. Is there almost no wiggle room knowing you got to go to Oral Roberts? I know you're worried about Grand Forks, but you still got to go to Tulsa next week that we may have to win out if we want that second spot?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable to think. I haven't looked at who ORU has left either, and what that looks like. And that your guess would be as good as mine on what that looks like anyways. But yeah, I mean, we have the opportunity here, that's going to be a huge one for Roberts, just because of where the standings are now, but, it's not going to be that big of a game if we don't take care of business on Saturday, or on Thursday. So, each one of these is, kind of monumental for that seeding that you're looking for. And obviously we want to finish as high as we can. And the goal would be to stay right there at second and get that 2 seed if we can.
I got to ask you a little bit about Amelia Hobson playing some more minutes last night, had a couple shots as well. Just the evolution of all of your freshmen. I know Marissa's got plenty of time, and I want to talk about Claire's performance, what she did Saturday, what you've seen out of each of your freshmen now that we are mid-February, how that is that developed on the road that you thought when the season got going in October?
Yeah, I would think so. I think, Amelia was always going to be kind of an unknown, just getting here late. And, obviously we scouted and did all her stuff on film only. And you love some of the traits and the physical aspects. But you just never know until they get into the mix, how the development's going to go. And I've been really pleased with her. There's some things that are going to happen for her in the off season that are going to really benefit her. For her to make a huge jump from freshman to sophomore year. Claire, we've talked, has been a pleasant surprise. Not that we didn't have expectations for her as a freshman, but I even thought it might take her a little bit with the physicality a little bit more. But that just hasn't been the case. I've been really happy with how she's played. Her IQ, like we've said, excuse me, is as good as anybody's on our team. And she's only going to mature and get better. And then, Riz kind of had a tough one last night, tough matchup. But she's had plenty of huge moments for us. I love, what they're about to be, who they're going to be for us. Same with our sophomore class. They just have done a good job of continuing to get better. And that's a good core unit for us to continue adding pieces to. But right now I'm focused on, what can we do for our 2 or 3 upperclassmen? How can we finish this season on the right note for them and, put them in the best position to finish strong?
I know the game Saturday got plenty of attention for what Grace Larkins did, and we visited post game. I think for fans that may not have seen her play either on TV or in person, Jory, they got holy cow. That you've seen a ton of basketball. Where does that one performance rank? Where you've seen in person of what she did on Saturday?
I'll be honest with you, Dom. I had no idea she had that many till it was about 40. When I looked up at the scoreboard, so I don't know if you can get a quiet 47. I think she did that.
Yeah.
So I don't, obviously it's fantastic what she did, individually there. But again, our entire focus was winning the game and doing what we thought to win the game. And, so probably put her in position to have a really good individual game. But us getting the win was the most important thing. Great game, but we'll take the W.
And then I know you had a chance to visit with a bunch of alums, which is that game and that day has turned into a really big weekend for you. Describe that interaction you had to have afterwards with a bunch of former players that were back.
Yeah, it's fun to invite people back that really care about the program and invested their time and energy in it. And then we want to give them a good time when they come back, get a chance to spend time together after the game for them to, they sit around, tell stories, and it's always great. They get to mingle with our players a little bit right after. Just trying to keep that connection, between the former players and coaches and, our current team. We're hoping everybody on our current team stays, graduates, becomes an alum, and comes back to see us and invest in our program, whether that's any way possible. And so it's become fun, and we like to treat them as good as we can on that weekend.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this, especially the day after. Safe travels on Saturday. Good luck, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Okay, thanks, Don.
Jory Collins joins us each and every Thursday. Bison lose last night, 68-53 to South Dakota State. And as we mentioned off the top, now have some work to do. Try to get up to that number 2 line in the Summit League standings. And just off of what I was talking with Jory, Oral Roberts has 4 games left because they haven't had their bye. That'll come at the end of the regular season. Oral Roberts hosts Kansas City on Saturday, host UND a week from Thursday, host the Bison a week from Saturday, and then at St. Thomas to end the regular season. And that one I would star with a couple stars. Say, okay, if there's, depending on what happens with the game in Tulsa between NDSU and Oral Roberts, then keep an eye on that one. But the Bison have to take care of business like Jory mentioned. NDSU has, for its remaining schedule, they've got to go to UND on Saturday, at Denver next Thursday, at Oral Roberts next Saturday, and then they have Kansas City and Omaha to wrap up the regular season at home. So they have 5 games left, and Jory's line of thinking is if they want the 2 seed, they're going to have to go 5-0. If they want to, and that, again, lends it to that if you get the 2 seed and you win the first game of the tournament, you have a day off. Instead of playing 3 games in 3 days, you don't have to do that. NDSU enjoyed that. The last 2 years, they've been the 2 seed. Remember, a couple years ago, they flamed out in the first round. Last year, they took it all the way to the Summit League championship game. That's the advantage of trying to get into that 2 spot. And we'll see. Because last night, Abby Draper, Abby Schulte were combined 1 of 16. That's what he's talking about their upperclassmen performance. That's not going to get it done. And they got to be better coming down the stretch. We're due for a break. We come back. We got some breaking NFL news to share, including an invite to the NFL Combine. We'll discuss that much more. Not for me. When Hot Mike returns on this Thursday morning. We're back after this.